I paid half my parents' mortgage for years, but when I couldn't cover one bill, they called me ungrateful and kicked me out. Now they're begging me to save their house. I 25 still living with my parents, but not because I want to. I've been helping them stay afloat since Dad lost his job and Mom's health took a turn. I've been pitching in for half the mortgage, covering the bills, and even running the grocery errands. My friends joke that I'm like a roommate, just with a reverse allowance from my parents. It's not all that funny, considering I'm draining my own savings to keep them from losing their home. The thing is, they don't see it that way. To them, I'm still just the kid who never left home. It doesn't matter that I'm the one paying down their debt or that I skip vacations and drive my old car just so they don't lose theirs. They see me as ungrateful for not bowing down every time they throw something in my face. The fight that set this all off was over something trivial. Mom asked me to pay the property tax bill. I calmly told her I couldn't manage it this time since my car needed repairs. On top of all, I had already covered that month. She went silent for a second and then slammed a plate down, shouting, "You're ungrateful. We've done everything for you. Get out and don't come back." I couldn't believe it and just laughed, thinking she'd cool off. But Dad nodded, acting like she was right, and I was just some lazy brat rather than the one keeping the roof over their heads. So I packed a bag and left that night. I moved into a friend's spare room and felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. 2 weeks passed in silence, and then Dad's text popped up. "The mortgage is overdue. Why haven't you paid?" That hit me hard. They didn't just push me away. They assumed I'd keep carrying the weight from afar. I replied, "Didn't you say I wasn't welcome?" As soon as I hit send, my phone erupted with calls and texts, guilt trips, you name it. I realized this was bigger than one argument. Once I sent that text, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. It was overwhelming, like a swarm of bees had been unleashed. First, it was my mom, sending long paragraphs filled with guilt and anger. How could I abandon them after all they'd done? My dad's messages were shorter but cut deeper, telling me I was still responsible for the mortgage and to step up. Then my extended family got involved. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't heard from in ages suddenly had a lot to say. They claimed my parents were old and needed my help, calling me selfish for letting them suffer while I lived off their generosity. That one stung the most, living off them. If only they knew the truth. I didn't defend myself initially. I just sat there, letting the messages pile up, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. Because for once, their anger didn't come with the threat of eviction. They'd already done that. The first call I answered was from my aunt, the one family member who sometimes had my back. She sighed. "Your mom called me crying and said you screamed at her when you left." I almost burst out laughing. Did she remember to mention how I'd been paying half their mortgage for 2 years? There was silence. Then I explained everything, what I was covering, how much I'd been sacrificing just to keep them going, and that they had never once said thank you. My aunt was quiet for a while and then said, "They've been telling everyone that they've been supporting you, that you don't pay rent, that you barely contribute, that you waste your money on yourself." It hit me hard. They hadn't just been ungrateful. They had been actively rewriting the narrative to paint me as the burden, and the whole family had bought into it. News traveled fast. People thought I had abandoned my parents. My cousins stopped responding to my texts. My uncle left a voicemail saying I should be ashamed. Meanwhile, my parents kept sending rage-filled texts and messages saying, "Come home, we'll talk." But I wasn't going back. For the first time in years, I was free from their expectations. My paycheck was mine, food was mine, peace of mind was mine. The problem was, so was the mortgage. Even though I wanted to wash my hands of it, my name was on those documents. If they really stopped paying, it wouldn't just be their credit on the line. It'd be mine too. I had a feeling they knew that. A week after our text exchange, an envelope arrived at my friend's place with my name on it. I was puzzled at first since I hadn't updated my address. Then it hit me. My parents must have mailed it to me, basically dumping their problem in my lap. Inside was a notice about the late payment from the bank. My heart sank. This wasn't just another empty threat. My name was on the mortgage and the bank wouldn't care about family drama. If they defaulted, my credit would tank right alongside theirs. Years of saving, dreams of getting my own place, all gone. That night, I called Dad. He picked up on the second ring. He didn't hold back. "I was wondering when you'd grow up and handle your responsibilities." I took a deep breath. "Dad, I'm not paying the mortgage anymore. You told me to leave, that I wasn't welcome." Silence. Then his voice turned cold. "Fine, but you're still legally tied to this. If the house goes under, it's on you too. You think you're clever, but you're going down with us." He hung up before I could respond. That's when I knew. If I didn't act, they would pull me down, all out of spite. So, I set up a meeting with a housing attorney. Sitting in that office, spilling the story about the payments, the blow-up, the guilt trips, it felt like ripping off a long-neglected bandage. The lawyer didn't sugarcoat it. If your name is on the mortgage, you're liable. But you have options. You can force a sale or sign over your interest if they refinance. Either way, you need to protect your credit before they sink you. Felt surreal. For so long, I'd focused on protecting my parents. Now, for the first time, it was about me. I started documenting everything, every text, every voicemail, every late notice. My aunt, the one who had been shocked when I told her the truth, offered to be a witness if it came to that. "You've carried them long enough," she said. "It's time to put it down." Meanwhile, my parents weren't letting up. Mom sent me a long message one night, saying, "You humiliated us. The whole family thinks you're heartless, but you can fix this. Just come home, apologize, and start paying again. We'll forgive you." That word, forgive, nearly made me throw my phone. Forgive me for what? For not letting them drain me dry forever? Family pressure only intensified. A cousin DM'd me on Facebook, saying, "If they lose the house, it's your fault. Everyone knows you could have prevented this." I didn't even reply. Instead, I took a screenshot and added it to my growing folder of evidence. Deep down, I knew this was heading toward a showdown. The moment I pushed back, legally or financially, my parents would try to drag me down with them. But for once, I was prepared. The legal process dragged on for weeks. My parents fought it tooth and nail, ignoring calls from the bank, dodging notices, and telling people I was suing my own family. What they didn't realize was that every step of their resistance left behind proof of their neglect. The bank was not patient. After 2 missed payments, the lender's attorney got involved. I remember sitting with my lawyer when he said, "If they don't cooperate with refinancing, this house is going on the market, and because you've been the one holding it together, you're in a stronger position." That was the first time I allowed myself to feel relieved. But my parents weren't done. They spread rumors that I was trying to steal their house, plotting to kick them out to enrich myself. My phone was flooded with angry texts from relatives I hadn't seen in ages. Dad sent me a message saying, "If you think you'll see a penny from this, you're delusional. We'll fight you to the end." And fight they did. They refused showings, lost paperwork, and even shouted at the real estate agent until she left in tears. But here's the kicker. The bank didn't care about their drama. Missed payments and shared liability meant the process moved forward, with or without their approval. On the day of the court hearing, it all came to a head. My parents showed up furious, arms crossed, with Mom whispering about betrayal. When the judge reviewed the records, the evidence of my payments, and my parents' refusal to cooperate, his expression said it all. "The property will be listed for sale. Both parties will split the proceeds according to contribution." Mom gasped like she'd been given a prison sentence. Dad jumped up, shouting, "This is his fault. He's been planning this from the start." The judge didn't even flinch. In that moment, everything changed. For years, they had controlled me through guilt, threats, and manipulation. Now, in that courtroom, I realized they had lost all power. The sale process wasn't quick. Buyers came and went. My parents tried to stall every showing, but the bank insisted on compliance. Finally, after 3 long months, an offer came in, enough to pay off the mortgage and leave some equity. When the check was cut, the difference was stark. I got a modest sum based on my documented contributions. It wasn't life-changing, but it was proof that I hadn't been crazy or ungrateful. It validated that I'd been the one holding things together. My parents, on the other hand, walked away with far less than they expected. Years of mismanagement and debt ate into their share. Instead of a comfortable payout, they left bitter and convinced I had taken from them. But here's the truth. I didn't take anything. I simply stopped being their safety net. I used my share for a down payment on a small condo. Nothing flashy, but it was mine, my name, my walls, my keys. The first night I slept there on a mattress on the floor, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. As for my parents, they bounced between renting a small apartment and crashing with relatives. The family dynamics are still shaky. Some cousins blame me, while others quietly admit they respect my choice to stand up for myself. My aunt, my earliest supporter, was the first to visit my new place. She brought pizza and said, "This is what moving on looks like." And she was right. The house is gone, that chapter is closed, and I no longer wear the guilt like a heavy coat. My parents told me to leave, and I finally listened. For the first time in my life, I don't regret it.